We've been working on solving equations, especially multi-step equations. Today we're going to look at rate of change's word problems. Your essential question is, how do I solve word problems? Your learning intention. I'm learning to write and solve equations from word problems. You have 2 warm-up questions. Please pause the video and do those 2 questions now. Well, I hope you tried. As you're looking at them, you notice that they both have the distributive property. On the first one, we're going to distribute -4 to both terms. Now, the 2 will not change, so bring 2 down. -4 times +3. Negative times positive is a negative, so the 4 times 3 is 12. -12. -4 times positive 4k. -4 times +4 is -16. Do not forget that k, and it's equal to 54. Now what? Are there like terms that we can combine? Yes, you've got the numbers. 2 minus 12 can be combined. 2 minus 12 is -10 minus 16k is equal to 54. You notice once we've done what we're doing, we just bring the rest of the equation straight down. Now we are ready to solve. Both sides have been simplified. Draw my line, make sure I keep all my columns straight. I need to get the -16k by itself. The opposite of -10 is +10. I add 10 to both sides. I've zeroed that out. I'm left with -16k is equal to 54. Last step is to divide by -16. So to speed things up, I'm going to use a calculator. Clear that. 54 divided by -16. And I end up with, that should be 64. I forgot to add correctly. 64. 64 divided by -16. And I get -4. So k is equal to -4. I can substitute it back in. 2 minus 4 times parenthesis 3 plus 4 times -4, and I end up with 54. 54 is the correct answer. Okay, for the next one, can you pause? If you didn't do the first one on your own, can you pause and do the distribution? So as we're distributing, this time it's a +4, and it goes to both. So 4 times 2k. 4 times 2 is 8, 8k. 4 times +3 is 12. 8k plus 12 is equal to 44. Now we're ready to solve. It's simplified on both sides. I've added 12. The opposite is to subtract 12. Gone. 8k is equal to 32. Divide by 8 on both sides. And k is equal to 4. Once again, if I'm going to check, 4 times parentheses 2 times 4 plus 3. I get 44, so I know I've got the correct answer. Okay, so let's get into the word problems. How do we do word problems? Well, the first thing we do is to read through the word problem, and then we have to decide if we understand. If we do not understand, we read through a second time. If we do understand, then we go back through and highlight the important words or the important numbers. So let's get started. Once we highlight, then we turn it into an equation and we solve. So let's get started. Rod is paid an overtime rate of $25 per hour after his basic wage of $600 per week. Write an equation in slope-intercept form for the total pay P if he works H hours of overtime. Then the question we answer is, how much will he make if he works 7.5 hours of overtime? So as I'm looking at this, he is paid an overtime rate of $25 per hour after his basic wage of $600 per week. So P is the total pay, H is the hours of overtime, and we're going to look at 7.5 hours of overtime. Let's start with the equation. What does it look like? Total pay P. So our total pay is equal to, we've got the overtime, so that would be 25H. Is that all he makes, though? No, he makes $600 a week for his 40 hours. So if we're going to solve, we know that H is equal to 7.5 hours. So we're going to substitute that in. P is equal to 25 times 7.5 plus 600. Now, at this stage, you're expected to be able to use your calculator and get the answer quickly and correctly. 25 times 7.5 plus 600. And I end up with 787.5. Do I leave it as 0.5? No, this is money, so we've got to go out to the hundredths because this is 50 cents. So we always answer the question. He will make $787.50 if he works 7.5 hours of overtime. So remember, your word problems require a sentence as an answer. Now we're going to talk about an airplane. An airplane, 30,000 feet above the ground, begins descending at a rate of 2,000 feet per minute. Assume that the plane continues at the same rate of descent. Write an equation to represent the height of the plane in feet above the ground, which will be our function evaluated at x, in relationship to time in minutes, which is x. What will the plane's altitude be in 8 minutes? So if we're looking at this, I understand what it's asking, so now I highlight the important numbers that I will be using. So we're talking about 3,000 feet above the ground, descending The rate is 2,000 feet per minute. And we know that the height of the plane is f of x, and the time is x, and we want to know about 8 minutes. So if I'm getting ready to do my equation, what am I looking at? The altitude of the plane. That would be your f of x. Your function evaluated with x. The expression we use is. So if we're descending, that's what's changing. That's our slope. Descending means it is a negative or positive. Negative slope. That's 2,000 feet, which is x. And what do we start at? We start at 3,000 feet in the air. 30,000 feet in the air. But what will our x be? X is equal to 8. So when we take our function, which is that expression, and we put 8 in for x, we get negative 2,000 times 8 plus 30,000. Once again, we're at an age now where we'll use the calculator. Negative 2,000 times 8 plus 30,000. And I get 14,000. So when I take my function and I plug in 8 for my x, my answer is 14,000. What does that mean? In 8 minutes. The plane will be at 14,000 feet. So, you go through, you read, you highlight, you write your equation, you solve your equation. Your answer is in a complete sentence. Okay, we're going to talk about a plumber. Remember, the cost to have work done can get really expensive. A plumber charges a fee of $50 to make a house call. He also charges $25 an hour for labor. Write an equation that you could use to find the amount that a plumber charges for a house call based on the hours of labor. Let X represent the hours of labor and Y represent the total cost. Remember that your input is your independent variable. Your output is your dependent variable. Your X, the amount you get charged will depend on the number of hours. So your total cost is dependent upon how much the plumber works. So if we're looking at this, a plumber charges $50. He also charges $25 an hour for labor. And we're going to let Y, let's see where it is. Let X represent the number of hours and Y represent total cost. And we're looking for 6.5 hours of work. So, Y is our output. Y is equal to. As we're looking at this, what's going to change? What is our slope? $25 times X. But in addition to what we pay for the labor, we have to give him that fee for coming out to our house. What is our X value? X is equal to 6.5. So let's plug and chug. Let's put it all together. Y is equal to 25 times 6.5 plus 50. 25 times 6.5 plus 50. $212 to 12.5. Y is equal to 212.5. Do we leave it at 0.5? Remember, this is money. No, we've got to go out to the nearest hundredth. So what does that mean? We will pay $212.50 for 6.5 hours of work. So, read through, highlight, develop your equation, find your input, and solve. Now this one's a little different because we're looking at a chart. Howard decided to start jogging every day at the track. He completes the following chart for the first month or 4 weeks that he jogs every day. Use the table to write an equation to represent the number of laps Howard runs if T is the time in weeks since he began jogging. How many laps will he jog in the 10 weeks? So if we're looking at this, we are looking at what happens, but it's in a table form. We do know that T is time. So I've got to look at how much it increases. You're looking at 1 week and you're looking at 1 lap. So my slope, which is rise over run, would be 1 over 1, which simply gives me 1. So if we're looking at this, do I need to put 1 in front of my T? No. So here, what does it tell us what to use? So we're looking at y is equal to T. Now right here is my y-intercept plus 4. The very first week he did 4 laps, and every week after that he added 1. So T plus 4 is the answer there. But we know that T is equal to 10. So y is equal to 10 plus 4, which is equal to 14. So at week 10, how many laps will he jog? 14. Howard jogs 14 laps. Okay, so for the last one, see if you can get started. See if you can do the whole thing. If you can do the whole thing, you know you are understanding very well. If you still need a little help, we need more practice. Pause the video and try to do the last one on your own. Okay, I hope you tried. Suppose that the water level of a river is 34 feet and that it is receding at a rate of 5 foot per day. Write an equation for the water level L after D days, and how many days will the water level be at 26 feet? So we're starting out, the water level is at 34 feet. It's receding at a rate of 5.5 foot per day. Write an equation for the water level L after D days, and we want the water level to be at 26 feet. So this is a little bit different than what we're we've been doing, because we have the output and we want to know the input. So as I'm looking at this, the water level is L. I know that receding means negative. So L is equal to negative 0.5, and that is D, because we don't know how many days, plus 34. What is my D? No, actually, what is my L? L is equal to 26. Plug and chug. So 26 is equal to 0.5, negative 0.5 D plus 34. Step 1. Pick up my pen. I'm going to start by subtracting 34 from both sides. Now, 26 is smaller than 34, so I know that this is going to be a negative number. 34 minus 26. 34 minus 26 will be 8. Negative 8 is equal to negative 0.5 D. Now, if I change this into a fraction, I know that the 0.5 is 1/2. So the reciprocal of negative 1/2 would be 2. And I would be a negative 2, and that's what I would be multiplying by. But I haven't done that, so I'm going to go ahead and divide by negative 0.5. And what do I get? Negative 8 divided by negative 0.5, and I get 16. 16 is equal to D. What does that mean? In 16 days, the water level will be at 26 feet. And if you look at the question, in how many days will the water level be at 26 feet? That's what we just answered. So what is this class? How do you know when you're successful? You know you're successful when you can write equations and solve word problems. So this is all about word problems.